A warm-up session is recommended on a separate court. Before playing SSV, the player must fill out the player information on the score sheet. The player hands the score sheet to the scorekeeper, then takes instruction from the feeder. Remember, all the rules of singles tennis apply. A player can reject any toss before the ball is hit. The feeder tells the player where to hit the ball. The first target area is forehand cross court. For each stroke, the player gets 2 practice balls to the first target area. Note, the practice balls are at the start of each stroke, not each target area. The player has an option on the practice balls. For example, if the player hits a good shot, he or she has the option to keep the score. However, no more practice balls are allowed on that stroke. After the practice balls, scoring begins. The player hits 4 balls cross-court forehand, followed by 4 balls down the line, giving the player a total of 8 scored balls for his forehand. After the forehand, the player moves on to the backhand. Again, 2 practice balls are hit to the cross-court target area with the option to keep the score if the player so chooses. This is the same at the start of each stroke. The player hits 4 balls backhand cross-court, followed by 4 balls backhand down the line, giving the player a total of 8 scored balls for his backhand. Next, the player moves to a position behind the service line to hit the volleys. Note, the ball toss for the volley is the same as for the ground strokes. The underhand ball toss should be directed to the ball bounce spot and should be shoulder high to the player. After the forehand volleys, the player moves on to the backhand volleys. And lastly, for the serve, the feeder gives the player the basket of balls. The player moves to the normal service position on his or her side of the court, and the feeder moves to the opposite side to see the bounce point of the ball served and call out the score. From the normal serve position, behind the baseline, the player gets 2 practice serves. After the practice serve, scoring begins. The player serves 2 wide deuce, 2 center deuce, 2 wide ad court, ending with 2 center ad court serves, so that a total of 8 balls are scored for the serve. The format is similar to a regular game of tennis. An error is a double fault. Here's how it works. The first target area is wide deuce court. The ball bounces in the wide deuce court area, 2 points are scored. The ball bounces in the center deuce court playable area, 1 point is scored. If the ball hits the net and goes into the service box, a let is called and the serve is played over. If the serve is out of the deuce court, however, a fault is called, not an error. The player gets a second serve. A double fault is an error and an X is marked on the score sheet. The player then moves on to his next first serve to that target area. The same procedure is repeated for each target area. On the serve, power is scored the same as on the strokes and the volleys. It's important that the feeder calls out the score as the ball bounces. By doing so, the feeder creates a rhythm that the player and the scorekeeper can easily follow.